Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Fairview's coffee has mysteriously gone missing. Mayhem ensues when strange, coffee-craving zombies plague the city. Detective Mickey Potatoes, an overworked public servant, uncovers why ordinary citizens are losing their minds and how to stop the coffee apocalypse. But it involves the mafia. And when you're dealing with mafia crime families, nothing is ever easy. The mafia controls everything in the city, including the police, including him. If he breaks the mafia, they will break him. So, the city is without coffee. The city is burning before his very eyes, but he's powerless. Detective Potatoes has the power to stop the coffee apocalypse, but if he does, he could lose everything.
Yo, Pops Van Zant here. The Madness Comic Network is evolving into the Madness Roku Network. We're taking our stuff to Roku. We're joining great channels like the American Horrors channel. We're taking our stuff over there, guys. We love it over there. You're going to love what we bring you. We got some great shows, all kinds of different stuff. Come join the madness, yo. Madness Roku Network right here. Peace.
What is Path of the Pale Rider anyway? Is it a comic book? No, that's not it. Is it this? What the heck is Path of the Pale Rider, man? There's no way this is right. How about this? I have no idea.
We can rob a bank.
Oh, it's this.
The Madness Comic Network and comic-related madness proudly presents Madness Tuesday Morning Brew. Tune in to our content on Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt on YouTube.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I hope you got your coffee because today's show you get twice the amount of Laurie on the Tuesday Morning Brew. Yes, that is correct. Today's guest is none other than Laurie Cunningham, who I'm so excited to talk to. It's been a long time coming, and today is the day. But before we get there, I always have my little updates. I wanted to make sure everybody knows there are 2 hours left to go and back Worthy Chaos. She is at, I don't know, 323%, something ridiculous, and 100. Woo, it just went up, 111 backers. She's hoping to get to that magic 120 backer number. There's lots of goodies. And I think she just added a bunch of add-ons. Like, she just texted me, like, added a bunch of things for the last 2 hours. I was like, you should have done that like a week ago, but it's cool. So please go check this out. Give it another look. See if there's any new add-ons that you would like. She is the queen of merch, Carissa Grant. I'll tell you what. Look at all this stuff. I'm still scrolling. It's all stuff. It's all great. Go watch the videos. Go see her plushies. She has all of indie comics making freaking plushies now. It's amazing. I backed the wraparound cover, this one by Ian Chase Nichols, which is beautiful, people. So pick out what you like, though. It's really amazing stuff. So there's that. If you guys haven't seen what's going on in the Roku, we have that is live. It's been going on for about a week. It's got 937. Let's keep pushing. Let's get to $1,000. That would be great. We got 23 backers, and remember, there's all sorts of stuff in this one. You can get comic books, you can get original art, you can get a sketch card. They have ad places. You can have me write the name of your comic, your show, your comic book store, anything on a pumpkin, and I will smash it in my Pikachu suit, and I will send you a copy for your own records as well. There's t-shirts. There's all sorts of stuff, man. This is a lot of really cool stuff. And if you are a content creator, if you are a showrunner, you need to go look at this because Roku is the place to be. And getting in with all of your content that you've already created is a possibility. So please go check this out. We will drop links for all of these in the chat so you can go check all these things out. Last week, I finished my Kickstarter video, my welcome video. And as you know, it's always important to have a welcome video on your Kickstarter. They say something like 80% of Kickstarters that have a welcome video get funded, et cetera, et cetera. And it's always a challenge to see, like, what do you put on it? Do you put yourself in it? Or some people are camera shy. And as we know, I am not camera shy, right? So I actually, I want to show you just a snippet. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but it's pretty funny. And if you guys saw like the video with Ellie Brock getting run over by the car, that's the reporter from the second short film who was interviewing people about their conspiracy theories of what they think broke death, right? And of course, she goes out with the bang at the end. And she joins me. Ooh, my mouse just lost connection, so that's fun. She joins me. Please reconnect. That would be great. she joins me in my Kickstarter video. So I have like, it's 5 minutes, which is kind of lengthy, but there's a lot of antics in it. And then I wish I could push the button. I can't do anything because my mouse lost connection. Come on, mouse. I also have a blooper reel, which is really funny. It's like 1 minute and 27 seconds. Hey, Pops, I need you to rescue me because my mouse died.
What can I do for you?
We're just going to take this off and we'll bring Laurie in and start talking. I can play this another time. The universe does not want me to spoil this to the people yet, apparently. I don't know what's up with my mouse. I just changed the batteries and it was like, nope. So I guess y'all have to wait to see more Ellie Brock.
And for those of you who haven't seen it, it's freaking hilarious. I wish you could have put it up, but maybe we'll get it figured out before the end of the show.
Yeah, we'll see if the mouse comes back online. Maybe I'll pop the batteries out. But anyway, Laurie, let's come on in and let's hello.
Hi.
That's what I was hoping for. But...
That's okay. You're just creating like the maximum suspense for your video.
I guess.
You're
man,
like, I would play it for you,
nope,
but just kidding.
You may not. You may not share. All right. Well, hopefully we'll figure that out. So anyway, good morning. Did you bring some coffee for the Tuesday morning?
I did. It is 9 a.m. here, so it was like a panic. A lot of work to get here on time.
Oh, I feel you. I know. When like it's always hard doing shows in different time zones, and it's like Pacific Coast. When they do shows, it's like, oh, we're starting at 11 o'clock p.m. your time. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
this is
I
great.
do that. I'm Mountain Time, and I have a 9 o'clock show, and like I just have a drink and draw, and I invite artists to come on, and East Coasters are always like, it's a little late, but it's perfect for Pacific Coasters. And then East Coasters, whenever they have podcasts, it's always like at 9, and here at 7, it's my kids' exact bedtime. I'm like, sorry, partner,
Yeah.
you're putting the chaos to bed tonight.
I mean, I get it too. People are like, different time zones, and like they want me to come on their show in the afternoon, and it's like this is the exact time I have to be in the car line to pick up my kids.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I'm not even
it's
home.
Always
like
tough.
there's no way, so that's fine. Oh, look, my
We
mouse
survive.
is back. We'll show that later. Anyway, welcome again, and for everybody that doesn't know you, this is Laurie Cunningham. She's a writer. She's been around for a while now, and she also is part of ASAP Imagination, which I am also. I'm part of the NE1 world, so that's how we became connected. And she has some amazing titles I'm going to share. I'm really excited about your new one, The Babies with Rabies. Yes, you heard me right, people. I said that, babies with rabies. Now that my mouse is back, I can actually share some things. But before I start sharing images, because that one is hilarious, why don't you tell everybody like your origin story, how you came into comics, writing, all of that fun stuff. I will shut up now.
Fair. Yeah, they're definitely two different kind of like starting points. I guess writing wise, I kind of came into the whole thing wanting to be a novelist. I'd done some traveling overseas and had a travel blog, and I came just to connect with family and friends, not like paid or anything fancy. But I came back home and people are like, "Oh, you're like kind of a good writer," like, and then I'm like, "Neat, thanks." Didn't do anything with it, and then, but by then I was kind of like not overly happy with the career path I'd chosen. And my partner's like, maybe you should try like taking some creative writing courses or something. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I did that, and then one of the courses was actually called Publishing and Promoting Your Work, and the assignment was to join Twitter, which was like not kicking and screaming. I'm like, oh god.
Oh, yeah. That's funny, George. Yeah, me, you.
Yeah.
How about
the Roxbury moment?
Right, exactly. You. So what was the challenge to join Twitter?
Yeah, so it was to join Twitter, and I'm like a late adopter in all social media, so I was pretty reluctant.
Yeah.
But then it was like, so the assignment was to start an author platform and start like connecting with people so you could promote stuff. And then I had been like writing very casually, but like once you kind of go on and start telling people you're a writer, it's kind of like, maybe I should like write something. So then I kind of like from there you start connecting with people and like learning about the industry, and I think it's a big mixture of like peer pressure and like motivation, and you're like, okay, like this person's doing this, like I guess I should do that. Maybe I'll write some stories here, and then one thing leads to another, and suddenly you're a writer.
Right. And they're like, hey, write this, and how about that? And you want to write this too? And you're like,
yeah,
sure?
yeah. Well, and then and that's my story, because it's like I started off writing. I wanted to write a dark fantasy novel, and then like it wasn't going so well, and I kind of switched into short stories, and then I really connected to the horror community, and then started writing horror, and then all of a sudden, that's kind of like where I was at when I met Hades, and he was the ultimate corrupter for comics, because that wasn't even on my radar at all. And I met him on Twitter, and we were just I think we were joking about like how to make friends as an adult, and just like handcuffing yourself to someone, and we're like, we're best friends now. And that's kind of how we started, to be fair, because we just were chatting in this like just GIF conversations, or GIF, whatever people want to call it. And then one thing, like we're like, oh, we should do a project together. And then when I met him, I was pregnant, and I was kind of like, yeah, sure. And then being pregnant, it's just like, I think there's a lot you think you can do, and you can't. But yeah, so at that point, he was still in a 9-to-5 when I met him, and then but I knew about his comic aspirations, and then he left that job and decided to do his own company, and I'm just on the side being like, woo, you got this, cheerleader. And then but then we started doing a project together. And he's like, because we were always going to do this in anthology, like kind of centered around an event. And then it kind of got backburnered. And then eventually he's just like, well, do you want to like go for this? He's like, I actually have this thing in my comic book universe called The Event. Like, what if we use that? And so, and on the phone call, it was very much like, by then I'd had my baby, and I was just like, no way, man. I was just like, I'm like overwhelmed. I'm like postpartum depression. I'm like, but by the end of the phone call, I'm like, okay, I have my first story idea. So like funny. By that I was in.
Right.
And then that was like the beginning, because like it was just supposed to be a one-off project, and then one of my stories
turned into like points of villainy and points of virtue, right?
Yeah. So I brought that here just because I always bring this just because it's a flip book, and I feel like the graphics never do it justice.
Oh man, it's like people need to see that. Like, it's amazing that you guys are able to accomplish that, and just like the logistics of formatting a book where you read it one way and then you flip it and then you read it the other way. That's crazy.
Yeah. It was a ton of fun. And like our timeline was like ambitious, and it was like never really meant to be, but it was like kind of like, it was like this kind of motivation to like get me writing. And then like we each wrote 8 stories and didn't tell anyone who wrote what. And then we got to a point where we had everything done, and then we were sitting down, or I was almost done. And all of a sudden he was just like, what if we release it on this date? And I'm like, whoa, that's really quick. And he's just like, I posted it. I said, we're releasing that. And I'm like, oh God.
Look, I guess we are now.
Yeah, I guess we are. And he said we're going to release it in November, and we released it November 30th.
That way. It's still it's still happening.
It counts. But yeah, and that was kind of from there. When we were trying to mesh up our stories so the timeline happened, because essentially the book is like, there's an event. The first 8 stories are kind of like a countdown to the event. The event happens.
We're not talking about that yet. Sorry. I have my mouse now. It's good.
Fair. The event happens, and then from there it's kind of like 8 more stories that kind of scatter out from the event. So it's like a big mix of chaos. There's 16 different perspectives from just regular people experiencing this event, but then when we were matching up our timelines, so it kind of made sense. There was one story I had where I'm like, the timeline just isn't working, so I had to cut off the second half of it, and then we brainstormed and rewrote it, and then it came into by the end he was like, this is a comic book character. And that was like my famous his last words, I guess, because like I was like, neat, what does that mean? He's like, well, you should write a comic book. And then like,
that's what it means.
Yeah,
I just wanted to show people what you're talking about here. So This is what she means, where it kind of spawned off and created its own timeline, where it's like points of villainy, points of virtue, excuse me. And then there's more. And here's kind of the timeline. There's other titles within this world that all kind of flow together. There's OPSEC, and there's Messiah and Sister Grimm. And there's just an amazing world built here, all starting from this conversation with you and Hades, right? That's amazing.
Yeah. Like when we released Points of Villainy, Points of Virtue, like the anthology, he had his other comic book, which was essentially the flagship comic. That was kind of like where this all started. He was working on that well before I even met him.
Yeah.
And so they got released at the same time, and we did a Kickstarter and put them all out there. And then so that was kind of like the comic, but this happened at the same time. And then from there, it's just been like has exploded.
You know, we were talking about it was the shows that were going on for Any One World anniversary. And what's the name of the show that you and Hades did? Was like the Noob and the what?
We did the Nerd and the Newbie over on
The Nerd and the
Instagram.
Noob. And that specifically, when I was talking with Hades about it, whereas like he has been around for a long time reading comics, but you're kind of newer to reading comics. Yeah. So when did you actually start getting into graphic novels and reading comics?
I think the moment where he said, "Hey, this is a comic book character," and I was like, "Neat. What does that mean?" And it was very much because like I like every time I talk about this, people, I'm very much sound like I'm like kicking and screaming, like I don't want to do this, but I'm very impressionable. So like especially with Hades, he's a very convincing guy. He's very passionate about things, and when he talks about things and has ideas, you're like, I want in on this. So I think that was kind of the thing where I'm like, so what would this look like? And then he's just like, well, I'd read some of his scripts, and then like we were working with D.W. Howard, or Nem, as most people know him, to be fair.
Right, most people know him as Nem.
They started just like, they made a little folder for me on the drive, and it was called Comics Homework, LOL. And it was just like, read this, watch this, watch this.
I want to know what was in the list. That's where I'm going. I was like, what did you? Because I know that Hades was like, okay, now that you're into comics, you need to learn comics. What was the homework they gave you to read? That's what I want to know.
So I was still kind of writing dark fantasy horror comics. So they gave they started off with just like year one, Batman and the Mask of the Phantasm were like the shows. Constantine, I think City of Angels was the show. And then but I give like, and I also read Ghost Rider, and like I watched some I actually can't remember what it's called all of a sudden. There was another like really short little show where he's like, I think he's another vengeance spirit, and I really can't think of the name off of the top of my head. But Watchmen was kind of like, Hades was like, read Watchmen. And that one was kind of like the one where I'm just like reading through it, and I'm just like, okay. Because I'd never read it before. I'd seen like a lot of my exposure was to movies and cartoons, but never like reading comics. Like I read Calvin and Hobbes and like Far Side and Archie when I was little. So like still comics, but not like what the kind of comics that I think of like what we're doing now. So but Watchmen was like the moment where like I assume you've read Watchmen.
Yes, Watchmen was my gateway drug as well.
Yeah, the corruptor as well.
Yes.
But yeah, the chapter with when Dr. Manhattan is talking about basically telling his story, and he's telling all of his timelines at once, and it's just like
crazy.
And it's just like all over the place, and somehow it's understandable. I was like, wow, is this what comics could do? Because like I don't even know how you would do this without comics. So that was kind of the moment for me where I'm just like, this could be very cool to get into. Like, I think I want in.
Yeah, that was me too. And just like the story within the story, like the kid reading the comic book about the pirate ship, you know what I mean? Inside of the comic about the corrupted, superheroes.
It's just fun.
It's just like fun. The foreshadowing that you can build into. And I love how like people could really take their time. And Watchmen is one of those where it's like you got to read a couple times to really catch everything that is in there.
Yeah, it's dense. It's not like a light read by any means.
Yeah. So that was me too. Like I think I came to comics later. I wasn't a kid. I was in college when I started reading comics. And same thing, like I had no aspiration of writing comics. It was something that I fell into. So I think you and I are similar in that aspect where it's like, here we are now, or it's like, well, we're going to do comics. Great. Where do I start?
Yeah. Well, and I think that was the thing too. Like I was late to writing as well, but for some reason it never really like flared up my imposter syndrome. But coming into comics, I'm like, man, I feel out of my element. There's so much I don't know. And then like, again, Hades was good. He's like, he's like, I've been doing this for like, I've been a comic fan for 20 years. He's like, there's so much I don't know. He's like, it's so big. It's like, you just follow where you want to go. And everyone was like very welcoming. Like I made the mistake a couple of times to be like, hey, does anyone have any recommendations? And be like 400 replies. I'm like, oh.
I mean,
because
that's what I love about this community is that people are so willing to help and share ideas and share information. But it's almost to a point where it's drinking water out of a fire hose, where it's like it's so much all at once. Where it's like
100%,
and not all of it will apply to you. You know what I mean? It just depends on your audience and your book and everything is different. You know, so it's just you have to pick and choose what works best for you, and of course, wade through all the information. That's the difficult part, but I love the fact that indie is so supportive of each other. I think that's really where we succeed as a group. Is like, hey, did you know this? And did you know about media mailing? And did you know about like you could go here and get your ISBN? And did you know? Kickstarter tips and Kickstarter budgets and all of that. It's really kind of murky water to start out and have no idea. And that's kind of where we all start. But it's great to know that there is a community out there that will help. So
it's really awesome, like how people have come together. And like, again, I feel like I'm fairly new to it. Everyone is really welcoming, and now I'm kind of like in it enough that I can be kind of like on both sides, I guess. Like there's still places where I'm like complete like showing up, hey guys, what's this? But like there's people coming to kind of like me, and I can be like, hey, this is some of the stuff I know. And again, not that I'm an expert by any means, but like you slowly become an expert by like trialing and erroring stuff and making mistakes, and you're like, I'm not an expert in this, but I know some things not to do.
Right. I was like, someone's like, oh crap, I did this. I'm like, I know how to fix that because I've done it.
yeah. And I know, there's definitely a few things where I'm like, where people do them, I'm like, that's not going to work out well for you. But good luck.
Right. And sometimes you say something, and other times you're just like, okay, I'm just kind of...
And it depends. Like for me, it always depends how well I know people. Like there's again, like Hades is like my best friend, and I'm just like, if he does something that I don't agree with, I'm just like, you idiot. Like this is a bad idea. But like, and he is full of good ideas, but every now and then there's a few things where I'm like, maybe let's like brainstorm some other idea. Very political about it, right?
Sorry, Hades, we're not calling you out. It's all good.
No. He's the mad genius. He knows it.
But it's always good to try and think outside of the box too. It's like what hasn't been done? What can we try? Let's do something different. A lot of times you're just throwing stuff at the wall, and sometimes some will stick, and
well, that's what
Laurie, I must be in the multiverse. Yes, you are, Paul. One for each eye. There you go.
Good
morning. Ella's Matt, the Shadow Band. Did I say that right? And of course, Tim Fling. Good morning. Of course, everybody is here in the chat, which is wonderful. Hope we are doing great. We are great. Thank you for asking. I don't know. That was great, Valley Girl. Anyway, I would like to share with some people some of the images you sent me so we can talk about some of these really... This one, I want... Can we please talk about this?
So this was actually like... I started writing this when my daughter... So again, I'd already met Hades, but like I hadn't like published anything yet. And I started writing this when my daughter was about 6 months old. I was living with my parents, and because we were renovating a house, so it was just chaotic living at the house.
Oh goodness.
And we're just... This is the classic a joke gone too far example.
Yes.
Where you were just joking about teething, and then all of a sudden... Like I can't tell you the exact thing, but you make one joke, and then suddenly I'm like, oh, my mom always does the thing. That would be such a good book. And like sometimes she's right, and this was one of the. Sometimes she's not right, in my opinion at least. But this was one of the ones where like the seed is planted, and then like I'm just like, oh, that'd be funny, and then you start making a few letters because it's an ABC book.
Yeah,
so it like goes through the whole alphabet, and like I think we started with rabies, but then it was kind of like suddenly like 26 letters later, I had a script, and then like by then I was like fully like in the comics world, and I wasn't sure what to do with this. I like
Yeah.
Because I came from a novelist, like the traditional, that's kind of where I started, and like that was the original goal, to be like the New York Times bestseller. I like queried this with some agents, but it's a very like unique book. It's not, there are not a lot of agents looking for like a satirical parenting zombie dystopian rhyming book that's not for kids.
That's not for kids, right? I was like,
yeah.
I don't know, like, is it for kids, Laurie? I'm not sure.
Well, yeah,
like,
well, that's the problem. Like
my kids, but my kids are a little
so
warped.
it's not like not so the idea is it's like a parenting gift book. Like it's kind of like Go the F to Sleep and K is for Knife Ball and all those kind of silly books. But it's not like full of like F bombs. Like the worst word is like sex and like ass, I think. So it's not like, I've read it to my daughter, and like she's still pretty young, but I don't feel like bad for reading it to her.
Right.
Like I'm just like, oh, like I'm teaching you horrible things. Like I'm definitely teaching her a warped sense of humor. But yeah, so it was just, yeah, but I tried querying it and it was like, I didn't get like any bites. There's a few people who are like, this is so fun, but I don't know what to do with it. Like, good luck. And I like, and to be fair, I feel like that kind of represents a lot of it. But yeah, then I'm just like, you know what? Like, I still believe in this. I'm going to go find an artist. And I just went on to like, again, I went onto a children's literature art, like children's artist Facebook group. And I put up this thing, and there were a lot of people I don't think that understood what the book was, because I got all these like super cutesy like artists being like, I'd love to do it. And just like, this is maybe I didn't describe this well.
My Lord.
And even the artist that I ended up going with, he sent me some stuff, and I was like, you know what? I actually like, I love your art, but it's like, this isn't quite Facebook using, very very specific. Yeah, but his stuff was like beautiful. I'm like, you know what, if I ever wrote like an actual children's book, I'd love to use you, and like, can I like keep your information? And he's like, of course. He's like, but what, just curiosity, like what kind of style are you looking for? And I kind of like explained it, and I kind of was like, you know, Baby Herman from like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, that. And then like,
yes,
I mentioned Scotty Young, because Scotty Young kind of has like the younger, like comic book artist. I mentioned him, and he's like, well, I could try. He's like, I can adapt my style. And I was like a little skeptical, because his stuff is like very cutesy and watercolor at the time. And he's like, and then I was like, okay, like, let's try a letter. And he did it, and it came back like magical. I'm like, okay, nice. Maybe we do this. And he ended up being
you gotta, I'm sure this guy was like, I can do what now? Draw zombie babies?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure it was kind of like a breath of fresh air. Every now and again, like people are pigeonholed into a certain kind of art, right? And when they get to express themselves and do something fun, it's just such a breath of fresh air.
Well, and that was the thing. Like, so he lives over in Japan, and he says a lot of my commission stuff is kind of like the Japanese cutesy like stuff right now. He's just like, this is so different, and he's like, this is fun for me, because because he'd been doing this for like 15 years. Like this is like what he does, and like really like knowledgeable. And he's like, this is just like fun and different. He's like, I'm really like happy, which is awesome to hear, right? Like, I hadn't sold it. I didn't, like, very few people knew about it, hadn't put it out in the world yet, but you're already like, your artist is like, this is like a super fun project. Like, in the very least, I got one supporter who like believes in it. So
Alice Matt wants to know, is this a graphic novel or a first single issue of books? What's the age demographic for the book?
Okay, well, here, I'll show you. So I have it. It's like not really a graphic novel. Okay, so it's not really a graphic novel. It's like, I've only written one, and it's a complete book. So basically, like, it goes through, has like the dedication to parents, and it's just like I'll pick you around. Like, D is for drool dripping from their chin, and those pointed daggers and their menacing grin. So like, it's just like it's a one-off book. I technically have a sequel, but I kind of wanted to see if there was any traction on this one at all. So yeah, and the demographic is kind of for parents, but like, kids, like when I'm at Comic-Cons, people buy this for their kids, because we have a lot of adult, like, it always sounds funny saying adult comics, like comics that are for adults.
For adults, yeah.
Yeah, not X-rated, but like, this is kind of like a very like, it's accessible to kids. Like, I wouldn't say I've never like meant it for kids. Like, I'm not like giving it to like a 3-year-old. Like, I'm giving it to their parents, and their kids just happen to read it. Like, I have a friend who like bought this from, and she has a 3 and a 5-year-old, and she's like, my 5-year-old asks to read this every night. And she's like, and I just do it because whatever.
I mean, there's worse things to read out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, as Matt also said, Babies with Rabies has the Garbage Pail Kids feel to it. And I agree with that. When I first saw it, I was like, hey, Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah.
You know, it's
and,
like
and people have
a little
said
bit
this to
warped.
me. But
Yeah,
it's kind of
yeah.
funny too, because like so many people, like I'm just like, oh, well, then there's like a whole pre-existing audience. But so many people who were into Garbage Pail Kids, it's like, doesn't seem like they still are. Like,
No,
they're
but
like,
they
"Yeah, I
are
used to collect
adults
the
now
cards."
and have children.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like this is reminiscent. My husband still buys Garbage Pail Kids
Oh,
cards.
there you go.
Like the collector cards, they're few and far between. They're out there. Like I was at Pastime Comics a while ago and I bought some for him because I was like, well, I'll take him some. But they were like, really? I was like, yeah, he still likes these. It's, you know, reminds us of our childhood. So this is
Yeah.
reminiscent to me as well.
Yeah.
Wow, Points of Villainy, an anthology of misery. So this is the first one. Yes. Did you do Points of Villainy or Points of Virtue first? Which one was
So in the anthology, this is the flip book. So we did both of them at the
Right.
same time. Technically,
At
like
the same
Points of
time.
Villainy is the first part of it, and then you just flip it over and read the second part.
So I want to be clear. This is the same story told by two different points of view, or short stories that are like maybe elaborate a little more what this cool book is.
Okay, so basically there's a catastrophic event in London and it's paranormal, and this anthology is prose and it's 16 different stories from regular people and it's them experiencing the event. So it's a few weeks before the event happens, things start happening, and basically there's this big cataclysmic event, and then all of a sudden there's like a big army of terror and all these things happen. And it like changes London forever. And then from that, there's like, you flip it over and there's Points of Virtue, and those are kind of some of the more like ground zero stories. And then from there, all of the comics lead out. So yeah, it's just regular people. And then from there, we started turning this into comic books as well. So that's where this like Points of Villainy Part 1, we took 2 of the stories from the anthology and we put them in here and we got artists to draw it. So actually
cool.
The cover has 2 artists on it. So the top one is one of the artists, and the bottom part under the V is the other artist. So for the 2 stories in it. And then each part afterwards, so the same thing, this one will have 2 stories from the anthology, and then there's a trilogy, and then we're the plans to combine it together. And then right now we're working on Points of Virtue, and there's going to be 3 comics from there. And then the same thing is to mash them together at the end and put them into a graphic novel, and it'll be a flip book like this, but it'll be the comic version of it.
Right. Wow, that's a giant project, like spanning multiple issues and books, and that's amazing. I love this Grim Reaper at the bottom.
Super fun. Man, the artists that we work like, we are so fortunate with the artists that we work with. Like that's Mateo Maciarowski, and that's for the Grim Reaper story at the bottom is the origin story of my Sister Grimm comic, which is like the one that turned me into a comic book writer. So it's cool to see all that come to life.
Yeah, this looks scary too. I don't know what he is, but that's terrifying. Person, this is Hades.
Yeah, so this one isn't mine, but like I work for ASAP and I gotta promote the stuff. and I'll always promote I'll always promote all of our stuff. Like that's kind of what we do, right? Like we believe in all this stuff. But this is our newest title, and we released this during the NE1 Con officially. We did a double release of Person and Points of Virtue Part 1. And this one has like a long time coming, because way back when someone expressed interest in turning this into essentially a web series. Like they were going to film it, and it was going to be these kind of little mini episodes. And so we had Hades had everything storyboarded, and then the pandemic happened. And basically the things didn't work out. So we kind of got all the rights back, and then Hades is like, we're turning this into a comic book, because this is always like something I really believed in. And he's basically a demon hiding in human form, and it's after the event, and it's all his story about basically hell is looking for him, and they're coming back for him. So and he's kind of looking for someone else too. So it's this big kind of like occult mystery, like
Yeah.
dark fun.
Guy
It's all
hiding
dark
behind
fun.
him. Who's this guy?
That is someone who's looking for him.
Mm.
So yeah, there's a few people. There's a few little. Who's also a demon.
I was gonna say, is he
So
demon or human? But he's
there's
looking for him. That's what.
there's a lot of demons in this book.
Ah,
So yeah, it's cool. And then like we get to like.
fun.
So this is mine. This one is like extra special to me because it was my first comic book.
Yay! Congrats.
Thank you. So yeah, so of course, like this one always has that special place in my heart. And this is from the story. There's actually 2 stories in the anthology that really connect with this one. Like all of them are connected through the event, but there's like 2 stories. So one of the stories in the anthology is told from Hannah, which is Lily's daughter and Lily's sister Grimm. And then there's another one called Angel of Death, which is that Grim Reaper one you just pointed out previously. Which is basically like she's a doctor and a mom and a wife, and like this event happens and they flee the city to get her family safe, but she's a doctor and she's like, maybe I can go help. So she tries to go back to the city, and as she's doing that, she's encountering things along the way and has this physical encounter with death and the Grim Reaper. And because the event is very paranormal things happen to her and she ends up with these abilities. And we've definitely already spoiled it, so I don't feel so bad saying it, but she's half Grim Reaper.
Wow.
And it's basically
this art is
coming to terms with
amazing.
that.
I was looking at this, I was like, oh,
for
so
some
much
reason
good stuff in here.
Yeah, for some reason it took a while to we had like a vision for this one, and it took a while to find an artist. And we came across Nicolas Nieto, which we were actually we had Mateo Maciorowski as kind of one of our first artists, and he was one of those great people who were like, hey, do you know any more artists? And he's like, I know a lot of artists. And so he connected us with so many people, and this guy was one of them. And he had this gritty watercolor vibe, and that was fairly realistic but a little surrealist, and it's just you know what, you might be perfect for this, and he was.
Yeah, hands down. This is I love it because it's telling you so much about the story. I haven't read it, but I already have an idea of what I'm going to find in the story. So I love this. I love this. Here's another one. Look at this with the reflections. That's so cool.
Yeah, so basically, this is the second issue, which came out at the start of this year, and we're all of our titles are on a 4-issue arc right now. So there's a main storyline is being told, and then so by the time you get to issue 4, of course there'll be some danglers, so we can keep it going if we want to, or if other people are we need more.
Yeah, and I feel like with the event and with all the short stories that kind of overlap, you have a lot of opportunity to have the characters play in each other's world or have them meet at some point. Would be really interesting. Obviously, once the characters are developed, would make more sense. So I'm sure there's lots of potential.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty excited once we get obviously we're excited to get the 4 out as well.
Right.
Every part along the way is exciting, but once you kind of get past 4 and you're okay, now the characters start playing with each other.
Right.
I think everyone's a little excited for that. We still got a lot of work to do
into the story. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's fun.
And then of course, this is kind of what I alluded to. Here's the giant timeline. So of course, the points of villainy, points of virtue was what started everything. And that's what Hades agrees is that's what the plan is after issue 4. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, those 2 spawned these 4 comics. What's this one? Whole,
yeah. So this is another. So we decided to start basically a kind of like the Marvel one shot. So it's kind of it's not a 4-issue arc. It's kind of like a one-time origin story. So this Whole is a first-person perspective comic. So it's everything's first person. And it's basically it follows Alicia basically just after the event, just as the event finishes, and there's chaos and carnage, and basically these people come to quote unquote help them all, and then they end up in this mysterious place where maybe the intentions were not what they hoped. And so it has this like
Interesting.
a cult vibe again. So we have like a mix of like a cult and like dark fantasy and horror and like sci-fi and paranormal, and like it all has like a bit
Cool.
of like a superhero kind of vein running through it, but they're kind of like
Yeah,
all anti-hero, dark hero kind of stuff right now. And so yeah, it's
love it.
a lot of fun. Like Messiah has some like a Irish deity in it and stuff. So it's like you got mythology and like it's
Yeah.
just I don't know. We just threw in all of our favorite things basically.
I mean,
And
I'm
we're
not
like
complaining. All of those things are stuff that I love to read. And like I love horror and I love dissecting horror between like all the different genres. It kind of and I've said this before, it's like it tells you what we are as a culture afraid of
yeah.
when we look at what horror is being produced during the time. So if it's like the universal monsters and then it went to like atomic sized creatures from radiation, and then it was like slashers, contagions. It's interesting to me to watch the progression of horror because that's kind of what people are afraid of. One thing that has always been there is the supernatural. Always.
Yeah, yeah.
Ghosts, possessions, demons, extra powers from other places, being able to see outside of your own like dimension kind of all of that kind of plays together. And I love how it all kind of ties together in this world because it's like supernatural could be so many different things.
Yeah. Well, no,
Right.
it's actually interesting. When we first wrote the Points of Villainy, Points of Virtue anthology, we basically just like sat around. We were like, what are you most afraid of?
Yeah.
And then we also kind of based it off another one because we have stuff that like we have a story in there that's based off the fear of failure. We have a story in there that's based off the fear of like claustrophobia and like confined spaces. We have like sleep paralysis. We have like there's one where
Ooh.
basically a parent is stuck in a time loop and she keeps driving off a bridge and she can't save her son. And
Whoa!
like there's just like the classic like, and then there's like the classic monsters, of course, like
Right?
very obvious like in your face fear. But then there's like we also have one where it's just like the fear of like basically like so there's one that's like about stage fright, but it's also based upon like all this baggage with like their childhood. And then we also have one where there's like a lady in a retirement home who's essentially like losing her mind and like so we
Uh,
have like all of these things that are like we tried to play off as many unique fears as we could and not just like the straight like monster in your face fears, which is
right.
part of it. Like we have those too, but like all of these little psychological
Psychological horror.
things that keep you up at night thinking
Yes.
about. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's fun. Which is a weird thing. It always sounds sadistic when I'm like, it's fun writing horror. But
Well,
I
I
love
mean, it's like
it.
sharing trauma. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If we can read about it and we can talk about it, sometimes it helps. But just yeah, thinking about the fear and like what would you do in those situations and how would you handle it is just it's another form of I don't know, coping with trauma, coping with anxiety. I don't know.
Yeah,
It
no,
also
for
makes
sure.
you think about how easy we have it. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
everybody gets bogged down with the life and the family, the job, transit, road rage, what taxes, whatever,
Yeah.
medical. And then it's like if you can take yourself outside of that for a short time and experience like, ooh, this is way worse than what right? Sometimes it
Yeah.
puts things in perspective.
Yeah,
It
for
also gives
sure.
you that chance to get outside of your own world for a little bit and forget. That's what I like about it. That's why I write is like give people an opportunity to go somewhere else for a little bit and forget about their own life.
Yeah, well, and it's weird because like I used to be such a or probably still am. I like such an escapist reader. Like you read something, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I wish I was there, and I wish this was happening to me. Like obviously, when you read horror, that's not the case,
Right.
but it is like, but it's so for me writing it's very therapeutic because like if you do have this fear, you can almost like use someone else to kind of like explore that fear, and you're like I know some people talk about they try to write about something and they just can't. Like they're not in a headspace where they can do it. Where I'm like, it's interesting to kind of see how far you can like push things, and like you do kind of like, if it's therapeutic for me, I kind of hope that it's therapeutic for other people and gives them a chance to like get that fear out of them. Could be like, oh, this happened to this person. And like I always say that like horror is like I know my partner, like I really like dystopian too, which is always like I have all
Mhm.
these messed up loves in fiction. And he's like, why do you like I watch Handmaid's Tale, and he's like, why do you watch this? It's awful. And like everyone's getting like just brutalized. And I'm just like, but it's like about hope. It's and like people are
Yeah,
just put in this like awful situation, and like they should give up, but they don't. And I just love
right.
that. And I think that's like something about that is just really inspiring towards me. And I like writing about that and reading about that. And like
Yeah.
all the other
Yeah.
stuff is awful, but like, I don't know.
But I think when you put someone in that type of crucible where it's like they're really under pressure and there's a lot of heat on them, they're forced to make decisions that they normally would not, right? So, I mean, those
Mhm.
are obviously way dramatic situations, but it's like that's what we want to read about is like, how do what decisions do they make? What kind of coffee am I drinking, Quentin? I don't remember. It's a brand that I don't remember, Quentin. Um, some highfalutin, expensive kind that I get at Kroger. It's like $15 a bag, but it's delicious. I don't remember the name of it. It's really good. This one is, it has hints of dark chocolate and I forget. Sorry, I'm not a coffee snob. I'm not.
I was like, you should do their testimonials. It has hints of dark chocolate in that,
It's
and I was
good. I bought it at Kroger. Laurie
yeah.
Calcaterra.
Yeah. Their sales will be through the roof after this.
I know. It's not Starbucks. It's not Dunkin'. It's not Kroger brand. That's all I know. No sugar in it. It's just cream. It's kind of boring, but it's caffeinated, and that's what I need. We kind of derailed the conversation. Oh, I have another question for you.
Yep.
Since you were originally writing as a novelist, have you changed the way that you write for comics? Like, are you writing comic book script style where it's page 1, panel 1, 2, and 3 with description? Or are you writing screenplay? How are you writing for your artists? I'm just curious.
So Sister Grimm, I feel like is it's kind of weird because I feel like I'm adapting a lot of stuff. Because like
Yeah.
same thing with like a lot of the points of villainy, points of virtue stuff, like it's already written. And basically I'm putting it into like I'm doing the panel stuff. Like kind of like almost I'd say like classic. I get there's a whole bunch of different ways to like write a script for comics, but like it's more like page 1, panel 2, panel 3, like that kind of thing. Sister Grimm, when I wrote it, I tried doing like that right away, and it was not working for me. I'm just like I'm overthinking it. I can't get the story out. So basically I did this really like not an outline, but like almost this very like bullet form of like page 1, panel. Like I didn't describe anything. I'm just like, it seems like this amount of content belongs on this page. And I'd originally written it as a graphic novel. So like I just went for it, and it was like 144 pages, or I don't know, somewhere around there. And then Hades like, I think we should turn this into issues. So you have to like cut out like the last, I don't know, like half of that. I'm like, oh God. And I'm still like doing that. But that one, it was kind of like from there, again, it was almost like I was adapting it. Like I had a very it was almost as dialogue. And then I kind of like from there, I'm like, okay, let's put this on pages like that. So like I definitely, it's not how I write. Like I still write short stories, and I still kind of have like, I have like essentially doing like a serialized novel like through my website and my newsletter where people, if they which is like inconsistent, but like technically it's still working, but like if they sign out, I'll like every chapter or every newsletter has a new chapter. So like that one, it's very like traditional, like has all the description. But obviously with comics, like I'm not writing like Lily Connor's breathed into the like you're not like describing everything. So like it's just like I really like working with artists, you kind of hope that they are going to like kind of get that mood and atmosphere. And like obviously I mean, you're still describing scenes and like the emotions and what you want things to be like. But yeah, it's definitely different from how I write normally. And then again with comics, you're like you have to think more about the spacing. You're like, I can't clutter everything on
Yeah.
this. Because very much with writing prose, it's just like when you run out of a page,
What they
you
say.
just turn the you just turn the
Right.
page. Whereas like comics, you can't clutter too much dialogue. You can't have too much on one scene. You kind of want like
Yeah.
time
That's
to
what
breathe.
another my question is. Do you ever write something and then they do the art and then you have to change the dialogue to fit the space that they've given?
Yeah. So it's actually interesting. So my first issue of Sister Grimm is very dialogue like, to the point where I was like nervous about it, like
Yeah.
writing with Hades, because originally I written as a graphic novel, so I didn't think of the fact that there's like not a lot of dialogue in one issue. And he was very like, I was like, should I have an internal monologue or a narration? And he's just like,
Yeah.
just let the art do this.
Do the talking.
Just let the
Yeah.
do the talking. Like trust your artist, which is hard when you're like working with someone new and you've never done this before. You're like,
Right.
okay, I'll trust this person I just met. and he was actually pretty new to comics too. So it was very much like this cool, like, let's trust each other and getting this our like first comic out there. Like he had obviously like has experience as an artist, and he was working on something with his like brother at the time, but they hadn't released their comic yet. But yeah, so it was a lot of trust. And then like my second issue, she essentially gets her sidekick. And he is very chatty, to the point where I've had to like, again, like I just kind of when I first wrote it, I like just had everything in it. And now when I like wrote the second issue, I'm like, okay, this is fun, but like he's got to shut up. So like, let's take out that. And it was very much where like, if I take out this, do I lose the vibe? Am I ruining some future, like this was foreshadowing some, like, it's very like, there's a lot you have to really consider for comics that you don't have to like, obviously you don't just want banter. You don't always want banter for the sake of banter in like just a novel as well. Like typically I'm a little like on the fence. Like people are like, oh, does it like serve the story? I'm like, sometimes you just write things because they're fun and funny. Like it doesn't always need to like, advance the plot.
Right. But it could build a character. Like you said, if they're chatty and they have no like filter and things just come out, you're doing that. You know what I mean? So that way there's payoff later when it's like they're being abnormally quiet. What is wrong with you? You know what I mean?
100%.
Like that. So
and I think it just matters. And sometimes it's just fun to like I love writing banter between characters who kind of hate each other, because like I like reading that and or like not hate each other, but like annoy each other, like really get on each other's nerves. And I like reading that, and I assume other people do. So it's like, again, it's not necessarily like serving the story, but it's like, you know, when you watch a movie that you know is going to be bad, but you just like, it's going to be fun and entertaining. Like it's, to me, like, it's not like, I'm not saying the comics are bad, but it has that kind of same mentality. It's like, sometimes you just consume something because it's going to be fun and enjoyable.
Yeah.
So it's
you're
like,
not
it's worth keeping that
to
stuff
be blown
in there.
away. You know what I mean? Like the plot isn't like, oh, there's this huge twist, but it's so funny and it's such a good ride. It's like, give me more of this, because you know, it's like you don't have to think hard. You don't have to. It's not Memento where the movie plays backwards. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Like it's not that deep.
I want Cocaine Bear every now and again. Just it's a fun, crazy ride, and I get to laugh at all the gore, and it's like, hooray.
Yeah, I think it's so funny because like so many writers are like, oh, I want to like change the world and like really like change someone's life. And like I wrote a story called Babies with Rabies. Like I'm not changing lives.
In my world, girl, I'll just say that. Babies with rabies, life changing.
Yeah, like if babies do become little zombies, like maybe it'll help a few people. But like at the same, like I'm fine with just making people laugh and making people roll their eyes, or like as long it's just, you just want people to have a reaction, right? Like I don't need to change lives, but like I like to put things in there that people like people relate to chatty people with banter who say nonsense things, and you're like, what are you talking about? Like I do that. So like it's nice to like have people in there where I'm just like, this does nothing for the story, but this is a funny comment, so just laugh, that's all.
Right. Absolutely. Have a fun time with it. That's what it's intended for, you know?
Yeah.
So all of these books are on ASAP Imagination's website. Let me go pull that up. If people haven't been on this website, you need to go, because there's so many good things here.
including some Path of the Pale Rider, which
there is Path of the Pale Rider.
Yeah.
So here's the website. Of course, asapimagination.com, real easy. And again, the ASAP Imagination world is that Points of Villainy, that whole timeline we were talking about, that's kind of their flagship, you know, everything. But that's what I love about ASAP is that you guys have been like, you know what, there's so much good indie. I love Morgan. Oh my God. He just cracks me up. Look at
he's
this.
so
Look
fun.
at this. Him and his faces just make me laugh.
Yeah.
So if you scroll to the bottom, here's this Any One World, which is a part of ASAP Imagination. And that's where you find like myself and Paul Gomez and a ton of other people. I haven't checked out this Red Knight. I'm really interested in that one. But there's so much good stuff. Here's Path. Right next to Babies with Rabies, right? We're friends.
Yeah, Babies with Rabies there.
There.
And then Carissa's up here. I don't know if she's still in the chat, but you obviously did her.
She's in here too. Gallows Man, that looks so cool. I mean, like, I just want to just read all of these. There's so much good indie. I talked with Dre. I had Dre on the show talking about Treble. This is such a cool concept. Amazing story.
Treble is one of those concepts where I'm like, man, I wish I'd thought of that.
Right?
Fine, beat me to it, Dre.
Depending on what music you're listening to. Amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just like people don't realize that sound has such power over us emotionally, mentally. You know, you can have memories that spark because of, I mean, like if you're driving and you're listening to classical music or you're driving and listening to metal, it changes how you drive.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
It's a definite mood changer.
So, I mean, that's what I love. And like, here's Paul Gomez. Here's Nems, of course, The Long Game, which is an incredible series. Dog Eaters. There's just really good stuff. Here's Enmity. This is Morgan Quaid's series and Kara Byrne. Like, there's just amazing stuff in here. So if you guys haven't had a chance to like shop around, here's All a Worthy Chaos. Because she's W, so she's at the end. But yeah, there's just amazing stuff on this website. And I love that it's just, you can digitally download. It's like you can be anywhere in the world. And that's another thing that I really like is ASAP is international. You're in Canada, right?
Yeah.
I'm in United States. I'm in Texas. Hades is in the UK. Morgan is in Australia. So this truly is
really like all over the place.
Yeah. It's just so cool that it's like, oh, I can get books from Australia if I want it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't have to pay for shipping, which is like $600.
Yeah. And obviously some of the stuff is available for print, like the stuff that we so for people who don't know, like we are a publisher and we do publish other people's stuff, so you can submit stuff to us and we'll like help in whatever process you want. Like we can help edit, we can help find cover or help do a cover, help find artists, and then print stuff. But like we always start digital first, and then but we also have available for people who don't publish through us, like Laurie and like Dre and stuff. We just have a digital bookstore, so if you just want to get your stuff in front of more audience members or more viewers or readers or whatever, it's there. So like at any point you can just put your stuff up digitally and it's available.
This is something I need to check out too. So this is something that Hades was talking about where we can put merchandise on here too.
You can.
So this is where physical copies would be, but like what's a faux mask?
So that's wallpaper. But you can also, so Faux is one of our characters and it's in the Messiah series. And Hades always talks about, we made him like the cheapest cosplay you can because he just wears a mask, but his clothes always change. So there's a printable mask. So you can print the mask, which I actually have them nearby, but not readily available. And you just put it on. You can just be Faux. And we like hand them out at Comic-Cons and stuff. And like, so people can wear our Faux masks.
That's funny.
We have all of the.
You can get your own ASAP t-shirt, ASAP beanie.
The beanie.
I know I was looking into doing some beanies. That would be fun. Although my characters wear cowboy hats. So I don't know how that ties into my world, but whatever.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
You just do whatever you want. It doesn't need to make sense.
Ooh, what's this? It's like
so this is like, so the diamond that is on everyone or like on a lot of our covers. It's especially on Points of Villainy. Basically we worked with an artist who made a pendant because it's actually a pendant and it's like the key to the dream realm. So if you want to get really nerdy and really into the world, you can have your own key to the dream realm. So
That's cool.
it's
I
very
like
cool.
it. What's this? What? It comes with baby stuff.
Yeah, so basically I like Hades is like, we can sell your kit. So I have it here. So I have the book where you can just buy it, but I also have the survival kit. So and in the kit, but normally it's all like pretty wrapped, but I just have like all the stuff in here.
Yeah.
So it comes with a little sticker. And it's all very like zombie vibe, right? So I have that. And then it also, one of the pages, it goes through all of their strengths and weaknesses. Kind of like the blueprint where like, so it has like, here's the things you need to watch out for and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I have like there's a little bookmark that comes with it. And then I feel like this is the funnest thing I've ever like designed ever, because it sticks out of the top of it. And then it comes with teething rings.
Nice.
There's another sticker. And then it also comes with, so my artist is over in Japan, and so he has a whole bunch of like kind of connections over there. And we made some foam ninja stars for the bathtub. So they're like, yeah, because one of the letters is N is for ninjutsu. And so I'm just like, yeah, 100% we're gonna have ninja stars. So, but I had to like way back when. Yeah, they're super fun. And like way back when I was like, oh, I need ninja stars. And I like found some place that like made them, but I like ordered like some test ones and they were like super hard plastic. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get sued. Someone's gonna like lose an eyeball. And I'm just like, I need to come up with a different idea for this. And I think it was my partner. He's just like, what if they were like bath toys? So
yeah, okay, yeah.
And so I'm just like, yeah, like
the inside. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, they just like those like foam letters, but you can, of course, they have like just enough weight that you can throw them, but no one should lose an eye.
I was gonna say, I think if I look, yeah, it is there. If you look deep enough into this image, they're there. It's like, it's like dark gray on black. I didn't even notice they were there until you mentioned them. They're there.
Yeah, fair.
That's
it does
hilarious.
have, I think it should have it in the description, maybe not, but yeah, they're also on my, like, they're available there. They're on my website. I have them too. And then like, you can see the ninja stars. That's funny. Hilarious. I didn't even think about that. Maybe I should give him give him a white background on that one, but yeah, that's fun. But yeah, it was just like they're both kind of designed that like if you went to a baby shower, you can just have the book, but also if you just want to like have a kit where it's like, here's a few things like ready to go, like you got it. And then there's a few practical things and a few like stickers and book like aren't always the most practical.
Yeah,
but
bookmarks for sure.
But teething rings and ninja stars are super practical.
That's hilarious. I'm sure those ninja stars could also double as like something that the kid can chew on as well because they're the soft foam. Yeah. Ooh, look at all the t-shirts. You got Sticks and Magnum and First Lady and Dash. Ooh. What's this? Bernard the Butter Bear and his Bugbear friends?
So we have an ASAP.
Hades?
Yes. I don't know if you know this, but Hades is a children's book author as well.
I did not. He's never admitted that to me.
What? No, yeah, he's obviously a dad, and he had when we started this, I think his son would have been about 6 or so. And basically he wanted to have something accessible for his kids. So he started writing children's book, and he has like a whole world where he has the Muscatinis, which feature his kids. But then he also has this one, which is like these cute, this world of bugbears.
That's cute.
And they're, yeah.
Paul wants to be run over by a car today. This is what he's putting into the universe. So, all right, Paul, if you're run over by a car because you're singing that song, it's not on me, dude. You have tempted the universe. I know. Yeah, Pop says, Paul's walking the edge today because we all know that in Laurie's universe, if you sing that song, you get smashed. So don't do it. As in this Laurie's universe.
Yeah. That
Laurie is like, I don't know what she's talking about.
I'm fine. You can sing it.
In Path of the Pale Rider, if you sing this specific song, I kill your character immediately.
Oh, fair.
It's one of those earworm songs that I just can't. It's like as soon as people start singing it, I'm like, you need to leave. I've kicked people off the show. I think I kicked Paul off the show a couple times for singing it. I was like, bye, Paul. So yeah, so don't sing that song. Bad things will happen. Yeah.
I assume the McFlurry. So Paul Gomez has showed up at our drink and draw a few times, and if you show up more than twice, or no, at least twice, I like have this thing. I don't even know how it started, but I basically have this big page of McFlurries, and basically I've like you get inducted into the McFlurry Hall of Fame. So there's just like I have just this drawing of like I don't know like 25 McFlurries of people who are like part of the McFlurry family now.
That's what he's talking about. I was like, I don't know what this McFlurry thing is.
Yeah, I assume he's bridging two worlds here.
Yeah,
playing with that multiverse.
Quinn, it's just on the shopping it. You have to read Path of the Pale Rider to find out. It's at the end of issue number 2. It's at the end of number 2. Yep. At the end of number 2, someone is singing a song, and then we smash them with a car.
I love when you can just do that in your stories. You're like, I really hate this song. I'm going to reference it and murder someone for it.
That's pretty much what we did. That's what happened. So that's what happens. What's a big day tomorrow? Oh, what's happening tomorrow? Laurie, Ryan Permizan says, big day tomorrow, Laurie C. Is there something coming?
I assume he's talking to you and about him, maybe. I don't know.
I was like, who are we talking about? There's 2 Laurie C's here. I was assuming
Laurie?
it was you. Oh, yeah, no, I'm going to actually be on Ryan's show tomorrow. We're going to talk about Ashoka. Ryan has a show talking about Star Wars. It's a Star Wars themed interview. I will be there tomorrow evening. Yes. I was like, which Laurie C?
I don't have, if people didn't join at the very start, I assume they don't know I'm a C as well.
That's true. It isn't there. But I never know. Yeah. Like, people are here just to see you, right?
Yeah, fair.
Hey, now that my mouse is working, can I show the thingy?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, let me see if it crashes again, that's the universe telling me to not do it. See if it'll work. Here it is. All right. So again, I was working on my welcome video, and y'all remember Ellie Brock, who was run over by a car in my short film after reporting on conspiracy theories. So she joins me in my Kickstarter video. We really have no idea what happened. Hi, everyone. I'm Laurie Calcaterra. I am the writer-creator of the all-new Western apocalypse comic book series, Path of the Pale Rider. What's this? Really? Apparently, I'm going to be joined by recently deceased news reporter Ellie Brock from WDED Channel 13. Why are we... Hello, Ellie. How are you? I'm dead. How do you think I feel? Oh, I alone. So in issue 1, we follow Jude St. Clair 10 years into the apocalypse. He meets Big James. Consequences. Issue 2. Jude St. Clair goes to the town of Santa Claus looking for information, and he picks a fight and consequences. Please stop doing that. I'm not going to show the whole thing, but I just want to show people like that would be disgusting. Wait. Stop touching it. It's going to fall out. That would be funny. No, that would be disgusting. Our art team on issue number 4 is our very own Mark Woodquillo on pencils and inks, and of course Matt Chambers, who joined us on colors in the last issue. Ellie, you want to tell people who the variant artists are? Lacey Kruger and Lou Russell, Lauren Gibson, and me. No, you didn't make a cover. No, the last cover is a sketch cover so that people can get their own original Big James from their favorite artist. I just wanted to feel. Oh dear God. Path of the Pale Rider is a fan interactive. Anyway, I'm not going to show you the whole thing. But I want to show you some highlights from that. And then we have this really funny bloopers. News reporter Ellie Brock from WDEV Channel 13. Are you okay? I'm okay. I don't have anything for this. No one prepared me for this. That's a hot mess. Someone get her out. Someone come to Ellie. Please. Uh-oh. Oh. Uh-oh. Oh. Now there's somewhere. I'll find it. I got it. Whose idea was this? Bubbles! Anyway, once the campaign is live, you guys will be able to watch the whole thing. But I just wanted to show you some of the shenanigans that I enjoy doing on this campaign. So I have fun.
No Kickstarter welcome videos complete without someone losing an eye. You set a new bar.
Okay, good. I got run over, but with the car at one point.
You're gonna have these people doing these completely like non-zombie-ish things, just losing eyes.
Oh man, it's just it cracks me up because in my short films, I'm always doing something crazy or going out with a bang, or there's always some kind of shenanigans. And like this one, my husband, like pulls me out of the scene or like hands me things, and that's easy for him. And someone was like, what did you ask him to do today? I was like, well, I had to put the dog in the crate because I lost my eyeball and it was a grape and you didn't want him to eat it, etc. But for the most part, my husband got off easy. I've asked him to do way crazier things than just pull me out of the scene. He's had to do that a couple times, but usually I'm more bloody. He's had to shove me off a stool. We shot that one quite a few times. I think he kept asking for more takes. He thought it was great. Run me over with the car, of course. All sorts of crazy things I ask him to do. So
these are what happens when you marry a creator.
Right? And I'm like, hey, my eyeball's gonna pop out.
Yeah. Hey, could you run me over with the car today? Is that?
Yeah, I was like, I need you to run me over with the car. And he was like, excuse me, what? And I was like, yeah, it's for a thing.
Anytime something's for a video, I feel like when I first started doing this, and especially when Reels and TikTok came out, I was very hesitant to do videos and even selfies. I was just kind of embarrassed because that wasn't I'm not a selfie person, and now I more comfortable with that. But still videos, there's sometimes my partner walks in and I'm doing something and I'm just nothing. Don't if you could go somewhere else while I finish this because I'm embarrassed.
That's mine too. I'm like, I'm gonna pop my eyeball out. Will you go so you don't laugh? I'm like, because if you laugh, then I gotta do it again.
Yeah.
Fun times. Yeah. So what's next for you? What's coming up? Are you planning on releasing more things? Are you working on? Actually, I saw a post that you were doing some art.
Yeah, that's kind of been it's almost like a side goal. Because obviously I'm a writer and editor in chief and we got a lot going on.
Yeah.
But I decided when I was little, I wanted to be a cartoonist, and it just life path, I ended up not doing that. But I've kind of now that I'm back in, or not back in comics, now that I'm in comics and back around artists, I'm like, man, I kind of still want to do something with this. So that was actually part of the reason I started Drink and Draw. Way back when, I actually started a YouTube channel that was kind of more similar. It was supposed to be for to encourage me to do art and also just kind of talk about my journey, because I've ran into a lot of people who are kind of same as me, where it's too late to get into comics, or I'm not an artist, I don't know how to do this. So it's it was just trying to make things more accessible. But then I had my kids and that channel kind of fell off. But I kind of came back where I'm I want to do something with art. And I came up with this idea for Drink and Draw. So it was kind of regardless of life, 1 hour a week, I can draw. And I had kind of made a promise to myself, it doesn't have to be good, but just get something up there, like do a webtoon, like 3 panels, like just put something out there by the end of the year. And I think as I've gone, I've kind of realized that I'd have to learn how to do all digital art, which is like a whole
Yes.
other like learning curve.
It's
Like
a
you're not just
whole
learning
new
art.
thing.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
also learning software and then like how to do art in that software. So I'm just like, I can like do stuff on the page. And so, yeah, so I've just been like doing that. We have weekly prompts and people can come and do it or not. Lots of people just hang out and just heckle me in the chat, which is fun. And I do with Nem, and he kind of keeps an eye on the chat because like I'm drawing, so it's like, and it's
Right.
live. So, but like I'll still interact, and like you don't have to drink, you don't have to draw, you can just come hang out. But recently I've also started, like, because of this promise I made to myself, I ran across like mini comics and zines, and they'd never really been on my radar, but I saw some
Yeah.
YouTube video, a guy talking about how to do this, and I'm like, I think I could do this. And then it happened with this like same kind of, and again, a joke gone too far, where I saw this like post and commented on it. And I don't know if you know Steve Ureta, he does like horror comedy comics. He's got a Kickstarter right now, which could use some support
Oh.
as well.
What's it called?
And it's called Foulmouth. It's a superhero who gets her superpowers from cursing. It's fun.
Oh
Like,
yeah. I have seen that one. I have.
Yeah, all of his stuff is fun. But basically it was, again, like he kind of made a joke about something, and he's like, "This is a comic idea," and I'm just like,
Right.
could I draw this? Because it's like very like it's potato based. I'm like, can I draw potatoes? I'm like, probably. So I'm just doing like my goal is to just have an 8-page comic, and then like the idea is like, again, to make it super accessible. Like you just draw it on like a piece of copy paper and put it out there, and there it is.
Ooh, 9 days to go. Yeah, let's help him out too. Need some more.
Yeah, and he has like some other great
Hilarious.
ones. Like he has Slowpokes out there, which is how I came across him, and it's like Killer Sloths, which is also awesome. And then and he has like something where I can't remember all of the titles, but he has like one with like a robotic Santa, and then one with like basically a zombie one, but it's like a grandma is fighting zombies. So he's fun. And he was on the show. He was on the show promoting this too. So he came, and he's not an artist, he's a writer. So he came and like he did an attempt as we all do, which is, I've had 2 just writers come on the show too and just live draw with me, and they're like, I'm not an artist, but I'm willing to embarrass myself for fun.
Yeah, that would be me. I'm like, I'm gonna draw something. I don't know what.
Yeah, and it's always fun, and that's kind of the thing where like it doesn't matter, like I'm not like a professional artist at all. Like I'm just learning to, like, I have like some skills, I think. So I'm getting there, but like it's just supposed to, again, just be like, doesn't matter what your art looks like just put
want to watch
there.
me letter?
Like,
Laurie, we would rather watch paint dry. Okay.
To be fair, art lettering is its own skill that doesn't get as much credit sometimes as it deserves. But no, I think that's like, I don't know how to letter. I know how to like write on a paper, but like, again, that's another thing you can learn. Like, so, and like someone was gonna come out, I thought he was gonna like draw maps. I'm like, cool, I've never drawn maps, let's do it.
That's cool.
So,
I've seen some cool tactics with that, where you drop like rice on a paper and then you trace around where the rice is to make like islands. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah,
Paul Gomez, you are walking the line today, sir. That is all.
Speaking of heckling people in the chat,
I know, seriously.
Paul Gomez is one of the best.
You live. Just saying. Hey, there are 96 minutes left to go back Carissa's. Let's see here. Hold on.
Keep it coming up. Keep it coming up. Don't stop it now. Don't stop it. No, don't stop it now. Don't stop.
Go back, Kurtis. She needs like 9 more backers to get to her 120 goal. That would really help her out. Even if you get the PDF, she always does the PDF. Where is it? In the stretch goals, where she has like this giant PDF bundle of indie comics. It's insane. It's bigger than everybody else's. It's not a competition, but hers is giant. Where is it? I'm gonna scroll for forever. Look at this. She never takes anybody off of her PDF bundle. She just keeps adding people. So she has, look, it's freaking 20 PDFs. So she was 16 from last time, which Path of the Pale Rider is in there if you want to read issue 1 for free. There you go. And then she added 4 new ones: Slaughterville and Nara. I just backed a Nara, which looks amazing. Blood and Fire and Bulletproof Chicken, which looks hilarious. Look at this. Look at this Bulletproof Chicken, people. It looks amazing. So they already broke this. So you could do her $5 stretch, or no, excuse me, her $5. You could back issue number 1 and get introduced to Redemption from the beginning and get 21, 22 PDFs. That's insane. It's insane. Anyway.
It's got a lot going on. Those are some fun stretch goals.
Yeah, she has a ton of stuff. I'm getting ready to launch my Kickstarter on Monday, so less than a week. And I always share what? I've been experimenting with how to incorporate the lettering so it feels like a part of the artwork of my book. Yeah. I mean, that's always the goal. The goal of the lettering is to make sure that you stay in the story. If my lettering distracts you from what's going on art-wise, I have messed up. It's almost like the art of being invisible. You want to know what's going on. Don't cover too many things. Be seamless and then get out of the way. So, but I want to show you guys, this is what it feels like to run a Kickstarter. I'm sure Laurie knows this.
I think I'm bleeding. Am I bleeding? Ow! Ow! Nose and lips! Okay, ow. Ah! Can I... Ow, ow, ow. Ow! Wait! Ow! 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 Please, Mr. Oh!
Kickstarters are fun. Thankfully, you know what? I've only done one, and that was way back at the beginning, and we've kind of managed to avoid them, which is like both good and bad. But yeah, it's stressful, especially Kickstarter with the all or nothing. Like, man,
Yeah.
I was nervous. Like we definitely came down to the end, but we funded, but it was like, man, it's so stressful. It's so
It
stressful.
is.
I don't know how people do like multiple ones of these and like
Yeah.
yeah.
I was talking with Morgan about this because he was on my show and we were talking about like his novels that he was writing. And then like he was talking about how he hasn't Kickstarted in a while. And then and I was comparing Kickstartering to like childbirth, right? Because childbirth is unpleasant to say the least. And but yet we have multiple children, at least I do. So it's like you kind of forget how terrible it is. You know what I mean? It's like you go through the process of Kickstarting and it's like it plays with your emotions, and then it's like it's a real big high when you start, and then there's the plateau and you're like question your life choices about why you're doing what you're doing, even though you had this great success in the beginning, and then it's like grinding towards the end. You end on a high, and then when you fulfill your comic, you're like, I'm ready for the next one. And then you get in and you're like, why am I doing this? So it's it's that endless cycle of I love it, I hate it. I love it, I hate it. It's childbirth, right? And as soon as we had that conversation, he announced that he was doing a Kickstarter. And I was like, oh, Morgan.
I'm pregnant.
Like, you are pregnant, sir. Have fun with that birth. I'll be in, if you need some therapy, just send me a DM. I'll, talk you off the ledge.
When people say that they're pregnant now, I have this like weird mixture of like, congratulations, I'm so sorry. It's like Kickstarter. It's funny because like we're gonna be jumping back into the crowdfunding next year for like with our graphic novels, and I'm just like same thing. I'm excited and very intimidated.
Yeah.
So we shall see how things go. Talk to me this year when I'm just like, what Laurie, what was I thinking?
I know, girl, I know. Like I said, I'm 6 days out, and the Kickstarter campaign is basically built at this point. I'm just waiting on like a couple, like a variant cover and like Marco's beautiful cover that he's working on. And the thing is building all those graphics, because like when you're here, I'll throw Carissa's up here, because it's like when you're building this stuff, all these images, you have to create all these images, right, of all your merch, right? And not only that, she's got videos, she's got all this sorts of stuff here. Look how giant this is, right? And then look on the right, all these rewards now have pictures. This is something they didn't used to do, Laurie. It was just the reward, and you just had to describe it with words. But now it's like every reward, you can have an image as well.
Oh,
I
yeah, that
gotta
is
make all these
intense.
graphics.
Like, man, you have to do a lot to be an indie, hey? Like,
Yeah.
especially in comics, it's like, obviously, you don't have to be, like, the artist as well, but, like, you still gotta come up with all the the graphics and marketing and the
Yep.
stories and, like
How to set up your pages. I mean, there's all sorts of
yeah.
debate of like, where do you put stuff? Do you put art at the top? You got to have some words because you have to tell people what your comic is like. You want to show them or tell them or both. How
Yeah.
much scrolling should you have people do? Um,
Well, then I think
and
and then there's something I feel like there's like I don't know how many crowdfunding options there are now. Like obviously there's Kickstarter and
yeah,
Indiegogo and crowdfunder and like there's so many different
on my
things
comic,
you can do and like how to do it and like you
Zoom.
got to set your price and like and
Mm, yep.
no words left.
I know.
Just
That's why I was
overwhelmed.
like, remember the thing? This is what it is. This is it.
Oh
And
yeah, and
am
then
I bleeding?
podcast tours, right? Like that seems like
Right,
such a
and then
thing
all
where
the
it's just like
promotion. My family basically doesn't see me for 30 days, but that's
yeah, well,
okay.
that's the thing, like, a lot of people, like, this is not their full-time job, or it's just it's a side thing, and but at the same time, it is a full-time job. Like, I know that, I'm a stay-at-home mom is, like, my main job, and then
Yes.
but, like,
Well,
I'm also, like, writer, editor-in-chief, like, I do all this, and technically, like, I think of it as part-time, but, like, I, after the kids and I used to, I sometimes I get babysitters, and I can do stuff with babysitters like this. But a
mhm.
lot of times I've become one of those people who I'm like, the only time to do stuff is after they go to bed. And it's like, and I'm also like not, I'm tired. So it's like I
That
just
would be
constantly
nice
give up
knowing.
sleep. But it's like lots of times it'll be like 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, all right, open the laptop. And then it'll be like
Uh,
2 a.m. and like, okay, close the laptop. And then at 7 a.m., my daughter's just like, hello.
uh-huh.
I'm just like,
Yep.
surely 5 hours of sleep isn't and I say that like I'm partnered with an insomniac as well. So
Oh my
we
gosh.
are doing a lot on no sleep.
Yep. And I mean, yes, that's what I'm right there with you. We went and got ourselves a puppy.
Oh
Love,
no.
love the puppy. My kids are 6 and 9, so they basically sleep through the night unless someone's sick or has a nightmare. Like, there's not like an every night kind of thing, right? At
Yeah.
that age. But then we went and got a puppy, and of course, he came home at 8 weeks, and it's like having a kid again because they go
Yeah,
out,
I've
I don't
heard.
know, 4 times a night. So yeah, it was like I had to reset my sleep schedule, and I did not like that. So I feel you. So I'm always like the first one up and the last one to go to sleep. I'm trying to the kids are in bed, and I was telling Carissa this last night. She was like, hey, can you help me with this thing? And I was like, I can do it. She's like, when? I'm like, tonight after the kids are in bed.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was like,
that's
I
why I
have
tell
this
people
small
like
window. What's that?
I'm available like on my phone. Like if people
Yeah.
ask questions and stuff, I'm like, I
Yeah,
can do
I can
some
do
things,
that.
but like there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, if I'm writing or editing, I need like to
Yes.
sit down. So I'm like, that's at nighttime. Like if I'm doing contracts or admin or who knows, whatever. Like that's all happening at nighttime. And it is. And lots of times I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start this. Like I'm supposed there's a comic script that I'm supposed to be like it was like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, or maybe a week ago now. I was like, oh, I'm gonna edit it, and then like all this other stuff came up, and now I'm going to a Comic-Con this weekend, and I'm just like, next week I'll
Yeah.
do it. So
Yeah.
you do, and like I say, like I have to give up sleep, but I also need sleep. Like I know, like if I don't get a certain amount, I'm just like a grumpy, like miserable
Yes.
person, and like I
Yeah.
want to be a good mom as well.
Right.
So like I can't. I'm not good at balance. I try to be, but like it's
I can do like one night with like very
yeah.
little sleep, but once that second night happens with no sleep,
Yeah,
mm,
I've discovered I can almost do like an every other night. Like I can stay
yeah,
up late one night, but then I have to go to bed like before midnight at
yes,
least.
right.
Like I'm not going to bed early because I'm also like a night owl and like I do that like what's like that revenge procrastination where you're like I'm just gonna stay up because I need time for myself.
I need time for myself.
Watch
It's like
TV for 4 hours.
It's the mom thing. It's the mom thing. I
Yeah.
haven't had time to myself all day. I need time where I can just do what I want, whether it's play on my phone or read a book or draw, whatever. You know what I mean? I can color in a coloring book, but I need that time too. but it's almost at a fault where it's like, I know I'm going to be super tired tomorrow, but I have to have time for myself.
Yeah, I feel like every night I'm like going to bed, I'm like, well, I have made some bad decisions. Should have gone to bed. And then lots of times it'll be like 10 o'clock. I'm like, I should really go to bed. And then it's like after midnight. I'm
Or
like,
I could
"Damn
watch
it,
TikTok."
I did it again. Yeah. Oh yeah, the phone is bad too. But then the same thing where it's like you start like you pull out your phone and you start doing like little tasks again. You're like, oh, I'll just respond to an email.
Yeah.
Just like and then
Or I need to follow up on merch, or like for me, it's like I'm trying to like price things and set my budget right now. So it's like, oh, I need to talk to so and so, and then I need to research this, and then I need to approve this design, and I need to talk to this guy who's doing my shirts, and you know what I mean? So it all just stacks up. I have to write a list, man. I don't know about you, but if I don't put it on the list, I forget.
Yeah, for sure. I have that. Like, I used to like be a reluctant list person because somehow it felt so official. But eventually you just get too much stuff to do. And I know even like because this week I'm at the Edmonton Fan Expo and like I have like the regular stuff, but I find like I don't know about like I assume you go to Comic Cons. But like leading up to it, it's just like even if like the very first one was intense because you have to get like all the banners and marketing and make sure you have stock and stuff. But like every time I'm trying something new or there's new stock or something. So I always like have all these tasks and like ASAP is always growing. So there's like, okay, it's like, so now we're doing this. I'm like, how can I like showcase that and promote that? Or we have new creators. Like, how can we talk about that? Like, it's just like always coming up with things and problem solving and like trying to make it so it's more engaging. And because like I find a lot of the fan expos in Canada are kind of like the big ones. So like a lot of people are going there for like there's Spider-Man drawings and stuff like that, right? They're not necessarily there to look for new indie comics that they don't know as well. So it's very much just like, how can I pull people in and make things more engaging, and what's a better way I can talk about our stuff so that like I have better elevator pitches and all of that.
Well, what
stuff.
are some of the ways that you get people to stop at the table? I'm curious.
So one of the things I'm trying this time is I'm just like I have like the display and like we have all of like the like obviously making a display is like a big part of it, like just making it attractive. But one of the things I'm trying this time is I'm trying like so I have this like little Plinko game and I'm trying to like bring people in so that there's like a game so that they like kind of come there so it's like a little more fun and stuff. And I know like I always think of like I'm very introverted, and so like it's out like I'm okay talking to people if there's already something in common, like coming on podcasts is like I'm here to talk about writing or comics or something. Like you already kind of have that connection, so you don't need to be like, how's the weather and all that stuff. But so yeah, it's like a lot of the stuff's outside of my comfort zone. And I know like Hades is like has that natural salesman charisma and stuff. So I'm like, so I have to like really like try, I think. And so it is like I think like I don't know if I have any like tricks per se, but I try and make it so the table is like a little self-explanatory, and then like that like kind of mix of letting people like you know when you go to a store, like for me I'm like I don't always want people to just be like, hey, can I help you, what can I help you with? Hey. So it's like that little mix of like, oh, it's like a library and you can just like be independent and kind of look through things, but then like I can also talk to you about things. So like again, I don't know if I have any magical tricks, but like this game, I feel like this is what I'm working on this time. I'm like trying to like fancy it up and like just something to make things more interactive. I feel like
so what happens when it gets to the bottom? Do they get like candy? Do they get comics? What do they get?
It's like a mix. So it's like there's like a raffle prize. So I think there's like 6 slots because it's actually like a drink. The game is called Drinko, and I basically like have customized it. So actually, here I actually have, it comes with little shot glasses. I don't actually have the game here, but like this one I have like, so this one's like $1 off a comic. So like every time you do, and I do have candy. So like that's going to be one of them too. So like the little things fall in, and then you get raffle tickets and candy and like. Yeah, so it's like, so you win something.
That's cool.
And then it's just like, again, something to just kind of bring people in. And we're going to see, because I was going to do like a spinning wheel. And then I was like, I don't know, everyone does spinning wheels. Like, I feel like Price is Right. I was like, everyone loves Plinko. And I came across this like cheap little Drinko game. And I'm like, let's see if I can customize it. And
that's cool. That's a smart
see what happens. Yeah. Like, it's just, you're just going to try stuff. And like, it's same thing with like your merch. Like, I see people with like hot sauces and coffees and like all that stuff. Like you just try and like something that's unique. Cause like,
outside the box. Yeah.
yeah, like
You know
people
what
are
I'd
very
love to
like,
do? I would love to do a fat head of Big James and Jude from the first issue. It's a nice color page that Marco did, and then cut out Jude's face so people can put their face in and have to like take a picture, in front of Big James. That
yeah,
would
and
be
I've seen
cool.
that there was someone at like so I'm from Calgary, and there was someone at the Calgary Fan Expo who I think they had like I can't remember the title, but I think it was dinosaurs. I think Jesus was in it. I don't know, but basically you could like put your head where Jesus was, and he was riding a dinosaur or something. Like these big giant cardboard cutouts. So it's just like again,
Yeah.
it's just something for people to interact with, and like so it's not just like kind of you want people to stop. You have something where like people have that. It's actually interesting because like I'm always there representing ASAP, but I always have babies with rabies as well because it's like a side project. But I always like lots of times babies with rabies is interesting because you get people to do the double take. You can see people walking by, and then you can see people stop and be like, okay, I
read
had to
that
come
right?
over. So, and then it's just like, oh, and while you're here, comic books.
Right.
So it's like a funny
I just
little
start
thing.
handing people things when they stop at the table. I'm like, here, check this, check that. Here you go. Look at this. I think one of the interactive things I'm going to do is have Paul Gomez at my table, squished as a zombie, and people can have their picture taken with squished Paul Gomez. I don't know. Hey,
That
it's
sounds
Brittany.
perfect.
Brittany. I'm actually going to be on Romo Art next week, Monday, for my launch party. So everybody make sure you turn into Romo Art on Monday. He's going to have someone kind of big on his show. And then immediately following that, there's going to be myself. So it'll be a great day for Romo Art. But y'all can come watch me push the button and freak out when it doesn't launch, because that always happens.
Live Kickstarter launches always have that glitch.
So I'm like, and launching, and it's like, something is wrong with your Kickstarter. And I'm like, all right.
Perfect.
Like,
I'm not stressed at all.
Right. I'm like, someone else talk.
Yeah. Just pulling
Paul,
at
you
your
want to
hair.
come do my sideshow? I'll bring the potato peeler. Peel Paul Gomez live. Be a one-time show only. Performance art. Gross. But I think, definitely babies with rabies is kind of like what you said. It's kind of a showstopper. People walk by and they're just like, excuse me, what? Do you have like a banner for that?
Yeah, I have one of those like like when I go, I have like the big ASAP one, of course, because like that's the main reason I'm there. But I put like the babies with rabies one on the side, and then have like the little thing on the side, and then I just like I have like I don't have any of the stuff here, but like I have like little like dolls that I've kind of like messed up their faces that sometimes I put there, and then I got this like for Sister Grimm, I found this little like crocheted Grim Reaper, which is adorable, and like people love him. So like I said, just little things that like just draw people in, and like yeah, I don't know.
Laurie, you should talk to Carissa and do babies with rabies plushies. It'd be like
the knockoff Cabbage Patch Kids.
So I went to HorrorCon one time, and I have this like doll I got from Halloween Spirit, where you like press her and she says super creepy things, but she's very much like a doll. Like she doesn't look like, whereas like I tried to get like a doll and make them look like a rabid baby, but I just brought her to HorrorCon, and so many people are like, does she come in the kit? And I'm like, no. But the more people that ask, the more I'm like,
how much do you want it?
How yeah. And people are like, oh, only like $30. That's such a great deal. I'm like, no, she doesn't come in the kit. They're like, oh. And some people are just like, can I buy just her? I'm like, absolutely not. Which is funny because way back when I bought her, I was like, what am I gonna do with this? And like I didn't have babies with rabies at the time. And again, she was a doll, so she didn't quite line up with what I was selling. But then all of a sudden HorrorCon came up. I'm like, oh, I'm glad I kept her. And of course you can't throw her away because she'll just come back and just be like,
right?
Just start showing up in closets. I don't remember leaving you there.
It moved.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is, and the other thing is you can torture Nem with it, because Nem is afraid of dolls, spooky dolls. So, yeah, it has a double purpose where it can you can torment your friends.
Yeah, there's been a few like for the live launch of Babies with Rabies on Instagram, and I brought her out, and people were like, "Put her away!" I don't want to see that. People have like a lot of doll fear, and I get it. Like like I'm not like actually afraid. Like at creepy dolls, you're like, I understand the fear. I used to be so afraid of ventriloquist dummies because like there's this one Buffy the Vampire Slayer where like the show where he's like alive and it's like terrifying.
Well, there's like the whole Annabelle series and Chucky.
Yeah, there's a reason. I know like there's like Talkie Tina is like from like some old show, and she's like very like has the sweet little voice, like little kids with their creepy like I'm going to murder you. Are there like lullabies where they're singing like there's like a Rob Zombie thing where it's just like basically on one of the songs there's a little girl doing a nursery rhyme, and it's just like basically just talks about zombies murdering people in that cute little voice, and I'm like,
oh my gosh. I would love to do something like that. At one point I was doing some TikToks where it was like, you won't survive the apocalypse because of your kids. So I was doing stuff with my kids, and then I decided not to continue doing those because my kids. But it was like they're just so funny to see like terrifying situations from kids. Movies to me, horror movies are so much scarier when there is a child involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
What was it? The last Evil Dead Rises. There was 3 kids in that, and I was like, "This is terrifying.
Nope.
I cannot handle this." I laughed through the entire thing, but that's my way of coping with horror movies because I just have to giggle. My husband doesn't take me to horror movies in the theater anymore because I'm cackling in the back and he's
having weird reactions.
Yeah,
there's a fine line between screaming and laughter. I remember one time I went and watched when I was little. I watched Dreamcatcher. And Dreamcatcher is weird because it's scary but funny, and you're like, I felt like I was just hysterical because you're like screaming and then laughing, and you're just like on either spectrum of your emotions. I'm just like,
there is no in between.
Yeah, there is no in between. But I was thinking with your TikTok thing, last Christmas, because I released Babies with Rabies almost like November, so like it's almost a year, and then we went into Christmas, and I was making all of these like. Not a ton, but like I was making Christmas videos with like these little dolls and Santa hats, and they're like, so basically it'd be like it's like little like, and I'd play Silent Night in the background, and then I just have like the doll appear, and I'd just be like, that's like all the videos are basically just like this like wholesome Christmas scene, and all of a sudden this baby appears, and then the camera gets like that's all the videos are. It's like I am a filmmaker.
Yes.
Yeah, but I find making like I didn't like after Christmas, like I kind of fell off. Like I go through spurts because they require effort. I find videos require just that extra amount of effort, and I feel like some of the stuff people do is like, you like, are you a filmmaker? like
Dude,
what is your setup for this?
This like I learned so much doing this with Ellie, because I had to film twice, right? I had to write the script, had an idea of what I was going to say, and then I had to basically film it one time. I was Ellie first.
Yeah. Like you're doing stuff. I don't know how you do that. Like you're doing stuff is beyond.
I didn't know what after I put it together and had to edit it, I learned what I should have done. One of those things.
Fair. Like, that's how it always goes.
Right. Because I had filmed it where the 2 chairs were there. So if I was filming as me, the chair was there for Ellie, even though I wasn't in it, obviously. And what I should have done is just left the space open. Because when like sometimes I'll cross the plane, then my hand will disappear, or like this, like where Ellie is poking me with the microphone and it disappears. You know what I mean? Because what you're basically seeing is half of what I filmed instead of the whole thing. Because you can even see the line a little bit down the middle. So that's where like this side with me ends and where Ellie begins. But like in the bloopers, like you can see where the chair is still there. Like here, like the chair is still there. So that really kind of limits what I could do on the other side, because like when the eye pops out and it bounces off the chair, now I can no longer be in that, because then we'll lose the eyeball. You know what I mean? Or so like here, like her hand slightly disappears. You know what I mean? Because it crosses that line. So I learned, you know, every time you do something new, you learn the new technique or you learn the right way to do it. So next time I do something like this, it'll be better. So that's the challenge. And that like part of it too is like the green screen changes the color of things. And like, look at my shirt, like it's see-through. So because that spot is green on my shirt, so then it took it out and I couldn't figure out how to fix it. I actually had to go back and put something behind it
Yeah.
in the main video. See how it's
Uh,
green? I had to figure that
oh.
out. So I mean, like,
Yeah,
there's just little
that's
things that you learn. It's just interesting, you know what I mean? That when you do stuff like you said, like I'm a filmmaker now, and then it's like, ooh, I could now that you experiment with some things, and then it's like, ooh, I could do this better next time. You know?
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's the danger of indie. It's like you start
Yeah.
experimenting and they're like suddenly you're doing this and like, oh, I'll just learn how to draw. Oh, maybe I'll just learn how to animate. Oh, I'll just learn how to like create a whole and then like
Right. And then
you
it's
do
like
and like
so big it gets, you know, like, but really when you got in, you were writing. So that's part of my problem too, is
yeah,
now that I'm
yeah.
like, I'm writing other people's series, I'm doing my Kickstarter stuff. I'm recruiting people to do designs, all of the things. You're going to cons. And then it's like, when's the last time you've written Path of the Pale Rider? Ooh, it's been like a
Yeah, that's
year.
tough. Yeah, and same thing, like, I came in like a novelist. I'm going to write, and that's it. I'm gonna find an agent, they're gonna do all the stuff for me, but, like, now I'm a graphic designer, I'm, like, HR, I'm, like, a
Yeah.
lawyer, I'm, like, a marketer, I'm a filmmaker, like, I'm trying to do art, like, everything just seems to slowly lead to suddenly you're doing everything,
Right.
which is fun, but at the same time, you don't wanna, obviously it's part of your path, but like I still want to write and I still
Right.
need to make sure I find time for that. And like it is, you gotta, and I think that's why like part of the anyone world is like looping back. That's kind of like
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
we created that, because we're like, it's so much work doing everything yourself. And it's
Yeah.
like, and it's a lot of like it's a huge learning curve and you can make mistakes, but like when you're in a community of people, you can like
Ah, look who it
rely
is.
on other people. You can outsource stuff. You can like, hey, who's your artist? Like, can I work with them? They're like, hey, does anyone know contract information? Like, you can ask all these
Right.
things and find stuff, or you're like, or even just be like, I don't want to learn how to make videos. Like, hey, Laurie, do you want to like make a
Mhm.
silly video for me that I can use or
Sure.
something? Like, and like
Right.
you can rely on people, and it's so great, and it makes it easier, and it's like because writing can be lonely, but like again, we're doing all this other stuff, and it's this huge community, and I feel like I always mix up the metaphor, but it's like the rising tides lift all ships kind of thing, where it's just like if we
Yeah.
can all bring each other up and all be better, it's
Yes.
awesome.
Well, it's even
So
just good to like share information. And here's Brandon Starocci, and like he and I are in this group called the Zombie Bros. Zombie Bros. Yeah, I'm not a bro, but we've same thing. Like Brandon does Avalon, and Sam and Trey do Rays, and like these guys and I all kind of started at the same place. So it's like we share ideas. The same thing. It's the same thing where it's like I love sharing ideas, and Brandon and I usually come up with the same idea at the same time, and then I go first, and he gets mad. So
well, and I think part of that too is like it is a process. Like not to be cliche, but like it's just like it is like the
yeah,
journey. It's just like I know for me when I first started out, I was just like I can't put this out because I'm not good enough. But for me now, it's just like just put stuff out because like you'll just get better. And it's just like if you are always waiting to be like some definition of good enough, you'll never do anything. So it's like
right,
same thing, like you learn stuff with your video, but that isn't going to stop you from putting out that video. Like you'll just
right.
put it
It's
out this
not
time, and then
perfect.
next time you'll like make something that like is better and more awesome. Like not saying that it's not awesome right now, but it's just like
Right.
everything's just going to get better.
It's part of the process. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's still good for what it is. But like I said, I learned. So next time will
Yeah.
be better. And I love sharing ideas where I'm like, hey guys, guess what I figured out? Like someone shared an idea with me. I want to share it with you. Like pitch postcards. Like those are amazing. Where it's like I can leave a stack of postcards at an LCS with my comic book. They don't have time to learn my elevator pitch, nor do, they're doing 16 other things. But if I can leave my postcards, I can pitch to their customers. He can be like, oh yeah, Path of the Pale Rider 3 just came out. Check it out. Like, here's what it's about. And just hand them. And it's my pitch. So I can pitch to the people while I'm not even there. And I was like, these are genius. Like, I want to share this with people so that they can do this too, because I want us all to succeed.
Well,
Um,
and there you go. Like I've never heard of
mhm.
this.
Right?
So
That
there
was
we
Charles Boyer
go.
from Geek Out in Burleson, Texas, which is a great store. I'm going to be there on September 24th. I think Marco will be there. But it was a question like he's a retailer and I'm Kickstartering soon. So I was like, I want to build a retail tier. What would you want to see in it? Go directly to the source, right? So if I'm going to be,
Yeah, for sure.
creating a tier for retailers, I want to know what retailers want. And he was like, well, I want books, I want promotional things, and I want pitch postcards. And I was like, please tell me what that is. So,
Yeah.
and I was like, that's genius. That's genius. I need to do that. So I'm
Yeah,
getting
that's
some of
very
those.
cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There you go. Pitch postcards. I
Just
didn't
learn and
copy those.
absorb.
Right. Right. Feel free to use. Yeah. So here we are. Didn't I say 5 minutes to the end of the show? And it's like it went by in a blink of an eye.
As
So
they
you're
do.
gonna be at some cons soon?
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
only have one more scheduled right now, for this year, I guess. So I'm gonna be
Okay.
at Edmonton Fan Expo on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for anyone who's in Edmonton. And if no one's there, you're always welcome to go check out our websites. Of course, all the stuff is there. You're not gonna get to play Plinko, but hopefully you can find something that like everything's digital and stuff. So we try and make things accessible. And obviously Laurie's stuff is there too. You can find all that and go
It
find
is.
all your digital goodness.
Oh my digital goodness.
All
We
the
just released
digital
another one. I know I gotta talk with Hades because we wanted to add issue 3, and then I gotta add the choose your own adventure book. I was like, why
Yeah.
didn't I think of that in the first place? I didn't. Ooh, Quentin says, yeah, I know. We've been pushing. Let's see. Let me take mine down and go look. She's so close. She just wants like 9 more backers.
I feel like what she got like 60 minutes. I feel like I was
Let's
keeping
look.
track on the time a bit, but she's close.
Yeah, 63 minutes. Yeah, right on the nose. So
Yeah, 1 hour. The final countdown.
I know. Here's Laurie's linked tree. So feel free to click on that, see all the stuff that she's doing. I'm sure her socials are all listed there. That's really the best place. I think link trees are awesome.
Yeah, ASAP Imagination is. And then
And
my
that's
personal
right,
website
too.
sends people to everywhere, but yeah. And then I always want to promote Drink and Draw because it's fun hanging out with people.
What day is that?
podcasts are fun. It's on
Yeah, when is
Thursdays.
What day?
It's 9 Thursday at 9 Mountain Time, so 11 Eastern. And
Gotcha.
it's every week, and like we have like the prompts and stuff, so people can just draw whatever. You don't like right now. I'm doing a mini comic, but you guys don't. We still like normally in the past we've just had a prompt and just draw whatever the prompt and then do that just for an hour. But now I'm working on my mini comic project. So if people want to come learn how to do mini comics, like I'm learning. Like I'm not an expert, but I'm experimenting. So
But it's good
people are welcome to come do it.
to see. And I mean, a lot of times when you're watching people draw, they are so far into their journey that they understand all like the basics and the rules and where stuff needs to be. I like watching the beginners because I'm like, okay, how do I create panels?
Yeah, and that's literally like in the past I've been drawing stuff and I'll have like a pretty picture at the end. Like last show, I'm like, I'm so sorry guys, I'm just drawing squares today. And it was like, and really like particular, like with a ruler and stuff. And I'm like, and I don't really know what I'm doing. Like, will this work out? So I'm just like,
Yeah.
like I have that like comic book paper that's like all ruled, and I'm like, oh man, this doesn't really make sense for what I'm doing. So I'm
Paul
just
Gomez.
trial and erroring.
Fired. You are fired, sir. If you were on my show, I would boot you 3 times now.
Just block them from
I
the
know.
chat.
Like Paul Gomez is no longer allowed on Laurie Calcaterra's show, the Tuesday Morning Brew, without Paul Gomez. Just saying. You're gonna go on Drink and Draw. That's cool.
Yeah, Paul, come on.
You draw. Paul draws.
Yeah,
He
you can.
sketch
I've
cards
seen you.
and
I've
stuff.
seen you draw, Paul. I've seen some
Yeah,
of your
don't lie.
drawings. Just come. We're
Don't
all
lie.
just we're learning. I'm learning. So yeah, I'm always looking. I'm like I've had a few people come on and just live draw with me. Like we've had some indies, and I managed to. I haggled Shadia Amin, who's the artist of Spider Ham, came on one time, and so I was
Cool.
like, it was cool. Like just meeting like people from all avenues and
Yeah.
writers, artists, just people who will. And again, like I've had writers, so it doesn't like you don't need to be like a professional drawer or anything. It's just like it's really just a very casual hangout. Like I kind of interview
Cool.
people a little bit, but it's mostly just like randomness.
I mean,
Depending
that's
what we're
kind of
drawing.
what this is. I interview people and we get into stuff, but it's just so it's organic. It's like wherever the
Yeah.
conversation goes, that's cool. You know what I mean? I don't have a section where I'm like, okay, answer these 12 questions about how you feel.
Yeah. Yeah, like I have no format other than me just draw something, and like sometimes I drink. Sometimes I forget to drink, or
Oh,
sometimes
dude, I'm
sick
gonna
and
be
I'm just
drinking on my
drinking
launch
it.
party, so hopefully it'll go okay. Cause crack, that's what's gonna happen as soon as I push the button.
I have total faith.
Right? Thank you. We'll see. It's like you say, it's like your what was it? Imposter syndrome comes right out. Every time you run a Kickstarter, you're like, I hope people like it. People are like, Laurie, you're doing this and this and this and this. And I'm like, I know, but that was last time. None of it applies to this time.
I hate that moment where you're like, do you guys want to like buy my comic?
Like, you want to buy
And, like,
another
you should
one?
be
They're
so
like, yes, now
confident,
shut
and
up
you're like,
about it. I'm like,
yeah.
"Okay."
Yeah, it's funny how you can put right back to that point where you're like, what if no one likes it? But
What dream project would have Laurie and Laurie a part of it? We'll see about that, Paul. We'll see.
pitch it.
All right, guys. That's the show. So thank you, Laurie, for coming on. I had a blast. I look forward to talking with you more, and maybe I'll come hang out and drink and draw.
Yeah, do it. I know it's
10
not the
o'clock
best
at
time
midnight.
for Easterners, but
I'm on Central Time because I'm in Texas.
oh,
So
okay, fair.
it's
I
not
do know
as
that.
late. It starts at 10 o'clock. So maybe I'll just come and drink.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, there's lots of people in the chat who just heckle me and don't draw. I don't think they drink either. They're just there to heckle.
Sometimes. So that's it, guys. Make sure you go check out all those wonderful Kickstarters. Was it Foulmouth? Foulmouth?
Yeah, Falmouth.
Definitely Carissa Grant. I know Anera is wrapping up. There's I Am Keto that's out there. Please go look at the Roku. Bring your show to the Roku so we can all go there together. I think we'll have a blast. And don't forget that next week, Monday, we'll be launching Path of the Pale Rider #4. You can go watch the whole video with Ellie and all the antics. It's entertaining. And I will catch you all next week. Go kiss your babies and be nice to each other. I'll see you all. Say bye, Laurie.
Madness Entertainment Group presents the Madness Comic Network with original programming and additional comic-related content.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit CB